I don't know what happened there, fella. I think I was supposed to press pause, but stop the video. Anyway, yeah, these turn out to be pirates, buccaneers, and they start to chase the sea mist. At this point, these guys were supposed to be heading round Ikeem's Horn, and because of the pirates, they decided to head down the straits, which runs down through past Arden. It's not Arden, isn't it? Arden's yours. It's because I've been reading that book. But Aird, sorry chap, Aird. So yeah, I don't know if you've got a map of Aird, but you can see they'll pass on the left side of Ikeem's Horn. These are called the Straits. These straits are renowned for pirates attacks, as the waters are fast flowing. It's like hit and run for them, and a lot of them hide out in Ikeem's Horn. So it's generally the way of things, just to like avoid that and go around the outside. Anyway, these guys get chased in. They've got no choice. The captain thinks that maybe they can outrun them, as his ship, even though it's a merchant ship, is quite a sleek vessel. At this point, the storm starts to come about, and it goes on to say about the thunderous clouds, the sky's darkening, the waves becoming choppier and choppier. So the buccaneers decide that they don't want to follow. They don't want to risk the storm. They let the sea mist carry on. They fare quite well. They do. They get through the storm a few days. Safe to know that they're not being pursued anymore. When out of the skies, there's a roar of a huge beast, and a black dragon suddenly drops from the cloud level, and he's like skimming over the sea, and he's like heading straight towards the sea mist. This is a rare sighting. Everyone's froze because dragons haven't been seen around this part of Ed in hundreds of years, from the Dragon Plume Mountains. Anyway, this guy is heading at him like a torpedo when behind him drops a red dragon, at least 4 times the size, in pursuit of him. He's obviously trying to hunt him down. So these guys fight it out above the ships. Acid rains down onto the boat, burning some of the crew. And in the end, the red dragon tears the black dragon to shreds, and he falls and crashes into the back of the sea mist, killing the captain and smashing the wheel. And then, of course, the red dragon comes down for its prey. And perches on the back of the sea mist, basically start push it underwater. Big wave comes, knocks him not off, but sort of unsure of his footing, so he decides to take off with his black dragon prey, and the boat starts sinking. Janice tells the crew and the party to tie on to these barrels of wine which have been covered in fishing nets, just so if they do ever go aboard, they'll stay together. So all the guys tie themselves up to these. Then they're in the sea for quite a while, and they drift in and out of consciousness. They start seeing things. Some of the things they see, like a giant tower surrounded by a giant stone serpent, is actually the Witham Watch, which is right on the east coast side of Ed. Oh, actually not Ed, on my map, chap. You'll see it on the map I sent you. Anyway, these guys are then at sea. They end up getting rescued by a fisherman called Burin. Now, Burin spies the barrels bobbing to his delight, as he comes from a small little inlet village called Little Cove. These guys are fishermen, they're scavengers, so he couldn't believe his luck when he sees this huge net, 20 barrels at least, bobbing in the sea. However, he saw the bodies of the unconscious party and a few others attached to it, so he towed it back in to shore, and was very disgruntled to find that most of the guys were alive. meaning that he would have to share this hall. Janice, the shipmate, when the ship sunk, he had like a waterproof sack, and in that he had the ship's log. And if the wizard had been with us, he would have had the wizard's spell book. I didn't think it was fair that the wizard should lose that straight off. So the guys are rescued. They've got little or no equipment. Their first level, as I said before, I thought I'd start them there. So yeah, I think that the druids were the only ones had like leather coats on. So I said that they could keep their leather coat. But the rest of the guys, who would have had chainmail and stuff like that, and long swords and shields, that was lost to the sea. So anyway, these guys are brought in ashore, and they're brought back to health by there's a druid who's been in Little Cove for at least 200 years. Grimtide the Saltseer, he's a dwarf. He's been in Little Cove much of his life. So he's the guys that have brought the party there. The party have sort of come around and been nursed in one of the fishing huts. Because I think that some of the fishermen were killed in this storm as well. They haven't returned yet. So there's a couple of empty huts, unfortunately, and the party have been put in one of those. There's a tavern in Little Cove. Let me just find my notes. Little Cove. The tavern, it was called, I think, the Lost Souls of the Sea. But there's a Little Cove has an interesting story to it. It's where the quest begins and things. But anyway, so Berin's owed. He saved the party's life, so he is owed a debt because Janice had the ship's log with the cargo in. Then the booty is legally his, but he decided 50-50 down the middle of the line with Berin. Unfortunately, there's no shops in Little Cove, so there's a few days travel to Frogmire, which is like the main little town in my area, the Saltleaf Marshes, where the campaign's set. But that will be the next phase. Grimtide tells the party Little Cove has a secret. He said that about 100 years ago, well, probably 200 years ago, the Saltleaf Marshes was covered by a thick mist, which stretched from the coast up to the northern woods. However, there's a cliff face that runs across the whole stretch in the northwest side of the map, and the mist only sort of reaches about halfway up there. So anything above that, you've got Dragonfly Mountains and the mines of Iron Hall. Yeah, they wouldn't be affected by the mist. But he said that this mist was not natural. It didn't roll in. This mist was created by evil, and it was probably something to do with the hags who lived in the Saltleaf Marshes, and most of the area was bad, and that's why he decided to come to Little Cove to be a sea druid instead of spending time in the Black and Branch Wood. So yes, he says he remembers this day because on that day the mist disappeared. He said it started with a beautiful young woman come running into the village, and she needed passage off the land. He said that he could sense that this woman was no good. However, it didn't take her long to have almost the whole village beguiled by her, and And so he said that it was surreal. Within 10 minutes, nearly all of the boats in the village had set sail just to ferry this lady off the land. But he said that as she left the harbour, she stood on the front and proclaimed to the village and their boats, "Those of you here, serve the sea as she serves you in return. From this day forth, you and your bloodline to come may be taken by the sea, but never lost, for they shall always return home again in time." To begin with, we all thought it was like a boon, he said, a gift granted to us, but little did we know it become a curse. At first, we had no idea what she meant. Maybe it was just her babbling. However, 2 months had passed when one of the fishermen, Gilbert Grape, he'd gone out to check his pots along the coast. A few days later, he hadn't returned, but parts of his boat had drifted up against the rocks, a little cove. And he was like the first person to die since this woman cast his spoon. And the villager spoke ill of the woman, saying that she'd lie. She said that they would always return. But within days, their gossip was hushed as Gilbert returned from the ocean, as the woman had predicted. But he was dead to this earth, and he'd become like a creature of the undead, like a seagull, ghoul of the sea. Yeah, his skin was all bloated and white from the exposure. And like the druid said, that he found him skulking in these caves, which under the cliff face next to the village. There's some underwater sea caverns, but he was skulking in there. He had he had no recollection of who he was. He couldn't speak, obviously. He was a very timid creature that just skulked. His family was shocked and dismayed at the sight of him in his undead form, and a meeting was called and decided to secure the cave, and the family would decide what to do. So Gilbert was kept in this cave, and he just basically lurked harmlessly around in the shadows. His family used to throw bits of chopped up fish for him, the heads and the tails, that sort of thing. But then he was kind of sort of just accepted. But then over the years, his numbers started growing as guys and people who were lost at sea, who were born in a little cove, they would return eventually in this undead ghoul form. Some of the bodies, let's see where I am. So the bodies were different states of decomposition depending on how long they'd been out at sea. Some would have barnacles growing on them. Some would be almost bone. But these creatures would return, and Grimtide basically became his job to take care, because some families could not kill their own. Some did, but there was a good number down there, and this was the secret of Little Cove that was being kept quiet. However, he said we've had an issue. He said 2 weeks ago, this thick mist came back across the lands from inland again, and he has a really bad feeling about this. And then he said that the last people to drown was Burns' brother Thomas, he said, and three of his crewmates. They drowned in the sea about two months ago, and they returned, but he said something was different. They returned the second day that the mist returned, but when they come out of what they call the returning pool, instead of being timid creatures like the others, they tried to attack me, he said. I've never seen anything like it. These guys were more like evil undead. He said, I recognised Thomas straight away, but this isn't right. This is not never happened before. So anyway, he manages to get out. He goes and tells Burren about it. However, while he's gathering his forts and things, Thomas and these guys basically go around and they slaughter nearly half of the families and family members that have been kept alive in the cave. They're just mercilessly, aimlessly killing them. So Grimtai goes in there. He ends up coming face to face with these guys. He manages to kill one of them before the other three fled. And on one of them, the one he killed was like a leather satchel, and inside he found a green orb, like a gem orb, about 4 inches, and with that as well he found a couple of dwarven coins. Now the dwarven coins are more valuable. However, these were stamped with the iron ore mark, and the iron ore had left hundreds of years ago when the mines had emptied. So he comes to the conclusion that where did these things come from? So I think he had an idea that there's a passage which from the returning pool to the sea, but there are many small side passages and things. Most of these he has explored. So he turns to the party and says that Beren wants you to find Thomas, which is probably in one of these offside shoots. He's discovered something. Grimtide is sure that Thomas and these guys have found a cave or something and come across these items. So maybe there's some sort of like hidden thing going on in there. So yeah, so like Thomas basically says that, not Thomas, Beren, sorry, basically says, I need you to go and kill my brother, and Grimtide's asking you to go and investigate, as well as kill these guys, investigate where these strange artifacts come from. So he gives them to the party, and they gather up armour and equipment, just leather armours, because it's a fishing village. What they can scrounge, and like the paladin has a short sword, and the dwarf a hand axe, which they grumble about, but they're starting off with bare minimum. So anyway, the dwarf with the highest constitution dives into the pool, and he finds this offshoot. And so the first location they come out in is it's like a cave with a large crystal pool. Let's put these guys here, and then in the wall there's like a man-made wall with a rusty old steel door. You've seen the water feature before, and so out of the water comes a young sea constrictor that had been following him. So this was like the first encounter combat for these guys, being new to Castles and Crusades, new to Dungeons and Dragons. None of the guys have played it, the family. So anyway, this young constrictor, she like I said, this was like there was eggs and stuff laying around in here broken. She comes flying out of the water and constricts around the thief. Unfortunately for him, so he's gone there. But they deal some damage, these guys. I'll give them that. I think maybe my because it was a young constrictor, could have been a bit smaller. Older, to give it a few more hit points. But no. But the thief, he took like seven hit points, and he had 8 to start with. Or did he have? Yeah, I think that's it. So he nearly croaked in the first encounter, but then we got the cleric to cast Cure Light Wounds on him, and it brought him back. And I think the thief had 7 hit points. Sorry, he didn't have 8. So yeah, they deal with that, and the door they go through, and they come into it's like a statue room. To move him. I haven't painted the circle yet, but the torches, I think when they go in the rooms, I always like handing them the little torches to sort of put in the walls. And then we had my little, which I showed you before, I need to paint these up, but these work really well. I had 4 of them, and you could put them sort of around the room to give it that sort of effect from light spells and stuff, like make your area. Anyway, so the guys go in here. There's no monsters in here, but on the side of the tomb, I think it said, only in death now, my old bones had more leverage than once I was alive. So on the top, we've got like a knight. He's there, and he was stone, but his sword was steel. It was a long sword, and I was sort of trying to put in weapons and armor for these guys to pick up as they go along, just to give them that little edge. So yeah, the party came in here, and they searched the big steel plates on the floor. They're segmented, but this was all rusty and wouldn't move. The dwarf had a wander behind the tomb, and he noticed there were scuff marks, as if the whole dais would slide back. And it took them a while. They pushed the lid off the tomb, and inside there were some remains, and they got a set of leather armor out of there, and they also got another 4-inch red orb gem, perfectly round, again, identical to the green one. And then I think when we went back to the longsword, the stone statue was gripping it, so his hands were gripping the steel hilt of the sword. So the dwarf tried smashing it with the cleric's mace, the hands, trying to, but it went all around the table. The paladin did it in the end. He managed to smash the hands, and he got the steel longsword, which was an upgrade from his short sword. Then they were like having a search around and stuff, and sort of had a point him in the right direction. And the paladin, he searched the statue, the skeleton in the back, and found that his forearm actually unscrewed, and the bone unscrewed, and then there was like a brass thread on the end of it. And eventually, I think the dwarf searched inside the coffin first, didn't find nothing, and then the cleric had a go, and she found a secret button, which when pressed, our tomb slid back to reveal a lever slot in the ground. And then they worked out. Yeah, there we go. Worked out how to open it, which they were really chuffed about, because when they looked down, they were looking down on the spiral staircase which descends to the next level. So yeah, we left it there, because the guys, we started about 8:30, and I think we finished about 11. But yeah, it went really well. We had all the mood lighting here and the background music, and yeah, I was really chuffed. So the guys are coming back today, Sunday. They're just out shopping, and hopefully we might get another couple of hours in before they head back to Newbury. Hopefully descend down the stairs. So well, I haven't waffled on too much, fella. Like I say, it's my first go at this. There are the bits and bobs that I could have talked about Little Cove, but we'll do that another time. Anyway, fella, take care, mate, and catch you soon. Bye.